Hey guys, it's Bree from Precious Stars Pads. So after I filmed my last video, which was my tips for starting out with cloth pads, I realised that at the end of that video I said if you wanted to know more about the cloth pad backings, then you can go and look at one of my previous videos. However, when I was making a playlist on my channel for everything to do with cloth pads, because I get so many questions about them, I just decided to put all the videos I'd ever done into this playlist so you could see everything you need to know with cloth pads. And as I was looking through my videos, I realised actually I haven't done a video on cloth pad backings yet, so I better get to it. So that's what this video is going to be about, and I've just got some here. I'm going to go over the basic types of cloth pad backings you can get because there are so many out there. I will touch on a few others, but I'm just going to show you the main ones that are the most readily available and also the ones that you can find if you want to make them yourself. So the two main types of cloth pad backings you're going to come across, because there's not as many options with backings as there is with, say, inner cores and top fabrics, but there's still quite a few that you will want to know about just in case you want to know the pros and cons to each of them. So the two main ones are PUL and fleece, but there's different varieties of each. So I'm going to start with the fleece ones. Three main types of fleece backings are polar fleece, or it's also known as anti-pill fleece, micro fleece, and Winpro fleece. So I'll start off with the polar fleece, or the anti-pill fleece. This is a Eco-Owl by Netta. She sells on Facebook. This is the backing. This is anti-pill fleece. So anti-pill fleece is very easy to get your hands on, or polar fleece as it's known as mainly in fabric stores. It's really easy to get your hands on if you want to make your own pad. I never worry about whether I'm going to leak through a polar fleece pad because the fleece itself works pretty well at being moisture resistant. The only thing that bothers some people is, as you can see here, it's quite bobbly. And that really does annoy some people. I mean, it still works, but it's just not as high quality a fleece. But it does its job and it works really well. So if you're making your own pads, that's probably the fleece you're going to find easiest to get your hands on. As I said before, it's sometimes known as anti-pill fleece, sometimes known as polar fleece. Basically, they are the same thing. Sometimes they say they're not, but they basically are. Every time I get polar fleece or anti-pill fleece, they act in exactly the same way, in my own opinion. But that is anti-pill fleece. The next type of fleece is micro fleece. Now micro fleece is basically a thinner version of the polar fleece. It looks something like this. There's an indent on this fleece because it's been squished with the popper down on it. But I hope you can see the texture of that. I really like micro fleece, and the benefits to micro fleece are that it's really thin, so it keeps the pads really thin. The downside to that is it's not as water resistant, or moisture resistant I should say, so you're more likely to have a leak through it. And indeed I have got a couple of micro fleece pads that I don't really use because I know that I do leak through them if I misjudge my period. The one thing I would always say with micro fleece though is as long as you have a PUL layer here in the core, then I have never ever had a problem with that. This pad is a County Cloth Creations pad. She sells on Etsy. And this doesn't have PUL in it, I don't think. I didn't actually get this pad, I won it in a giveaway. And but I'm pretty sure it doesn't have PUL in it, and I've never ever had a leak through it. So it works really well, and as I said before, it keeps them so thin. So that's why I really like micro fleece. And as long as you've got that PUL layer here, you'll be fine. If you had a really heavy flow, then this might not be a fabric you want to consider, but as long as you're a regular to light flow, then you really won't have any issues with this, and I really do love micro fleece. The final fleece is Winpro fleece, and this is the fleece we tend to call the queen of all fleeces. Winpro fleece is by far the highest quality fleece out there on the market. As a result, the pads are usually a little bit more expensive and they're only available with the top brands. So you do have to pay a little bit more, but you do get what you're paying for because this fleece is virtually impossible to leak through. I have never ever leaked through a Winpro fleece pad. In fact, if I was to put some water droplets on here, I could probably run it up and down the fleece. It's really moisture resistant, and it's got a really nice quality to it. Let me can see that there. It's got a lovely finish. It's really smooth. It never pills or anything. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. It never pills or anything. Just feels so nice. And again, it's quite thin, so it helps keep the pads reasonably thin as well. Then you move on to PUL. So this is what a PUL backing looks like. This is actually, oh hang on, this is by Novel Red, and she sells on Etsy. This is one of my own pads. It's the only one I've got right here that's PUL backed. This is a Precious Stars pad. But this is what PUL backed pad looks like. Now PUL is pretty much impossible to leak through. You can't actually leak through the fabric of PUL. You would either leak along one of the stitch lines or you would spill over the sides. You can't actually get through this fabric, and if you can, I would say the laminate on the other side of this has probably come off. It's basically like a waterproof sheet. You've seen those waterproof jackets that the water just runs off? That's basically what's in here, but it's much softer because obviously it's really flexible. So this type of PUL can come like this, really, really smooth, or also you can get something that's like laminated minky, which is where minky is on the back, but the other side of it has the laminate side that's on the other side of this PUL. So it's basically a whole layer of PUL, it's just minky, it's softer on the outside than this. But this one tends to slip more. People tend to find that PUL slips more than fleece. Fleece is particularly grippy, and actually I've got to mention with the micro fleece, that's what's so good about this. It can keep the pads thin like the PUL can, but you've got that slight grippiness that helps to keep it in place. Some people find they don't have an issue with PUL, some people find they do. You really won't know until you try it. Tight fitting underwear though is the key with all pads, and if you've got tight fitting underwear you should be fine with this fabric. So this is PUL. Then the other type is actually something called nylon. Now this one is not nylon, this is an Amilla pad, and they have their own special fabric on the back that's patented. It's like a diving suit fabric, but it feels pretty similar to nylon, so I've just used it here to demonstrate. Nylon again can be quite slippy. The main brand that uses nylon on the back of their pads is Party in My Pants. They have their own website. Amilla has her own website as well, and she sells in Hungary. Basically, this I've never leaked through nylon either, and I've never leaked through this fabric. It works really, really well. But these pads can also be kept really, really thin because of their backing. So if you like super, super thin pads, then a PUL or a PUL minkies or a laminated minkies backing or a nylon backing are probably one you want to try, because they really do keep the pads super, super thick. Those are the main types of cloth pad backings, but there is one other one that I can think of off the top of my head, and that's wool. Sometimes pads are backed in wool because wool's a more environmentally friendly fabric. PUL is polyester, and so is obviously the fleece, it's polyester fleece. They're not very environmentally friendly fabrics at all. They take quite a few methods to get polyester, but you can get wool back pads which are meant to be more environmentally friendly, and also you can get them with organic top fabrics. The only thing is I've heard a lot of people say they're not as water resistant or they're not as leak proof, but if you want a really natural pad that doesn't have any kind of chemicals in it or is more environmentally friendly, then that's, well, chemicals is the wrong word, but more environmentally friendly, then you probably might want to try wool. There's only one seller I can think of off the top of my head again that sells wool back pads, and that's Mama Cloth in Canada, I think. Canada or the US, but she sells on Etsy. And yeah, so she's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I think there might be a couple of others that do wool back pads, but she's the only one I can think of right now. But again, it's up to you. Some people find it scratchy as well. I personally don't have any wool back pads because I really like the PUL and I like the fleece the best. But if you want to try that, then that's another option for you. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and I will see you later. Bye bye.